Okay, welcome on board. This is our lecture for Design 350. It's Thursday the 30th at 11 o'clock, and we are on Google Meet, so welcome aboard. We're going to continue working with reading theodolites and things like that. Remember that you have a fairly substantial reading list. Week 8, we will have a midterm, and so I'll be asking questions, not detailed questions, but I'll be asking for you to give some information about all of this stuff that you've been reading. And most importantly, I'll be asking you to demonstrate some skills about survey and how to read a survey and use the survey record and do some drawings. So this week, we'll finish up some of the two-station work, and then next week we'll focus on practicing. Okay, so let's take a look and see what I'd like to go over today. Last time we did the simulation and got into it, and we saw how to create a survey record and how to draw it and put it into Revit. So this time we're going to look at reading the theodolite, because the one thing that you can't get from the survey on the simulations is really how to read these things. Once you've got that, your drawing skills will come into play. They're supposed to be somewhat developed by now, and so you saw yesterday during lab that we were able to get a very good alignment of rectify. We were able to rectify some of our readings and get two walls that were 90 degrees from each other from two different surveys. So that was good. But I want to go over really how to get these drawings, these readings done, and also to show you how I'm going to expect you to do it on the midterms. So here we go. This is an example of what you might see. Now, in reality, this in our theodolite, this is a little bit green, right? And this has a little bit of background behind it, and this looks a little bit more like a rod, but this is fairly close. Gives us something to sort of look at and try to figure out. And so let's take a look and see how to read this thing to make sure that we've got it right. Now remember, this H signifies the degrees from wherever you started and did a setup. Now, some of our people that have been out doing the surveys with the equipment have figured out by now that there's a little compass on it, and you can face it pretty much south and set that for 0. Or if you know and can line up on some sort of a point and work from there all the way around, you can set your 0 point. But in general, I don't worry about that. I just get the readings and work with them. So this is the degree reading. It's your azimuth angle degrees. Let's zoom in on it. So I have to find the one. There's my degrees. And I'm bracketing this 50 here. That's minutes. So I'm 229. This one doesn't count. 228 doesn't count because it's not bracketing anything. Okay, my 229 counts. That's the one I'm going to read. 229 degrees and 50 minutes because I'm bracketing the 50. Okay, so that's pretty good. 229 degrees, 50 minutes. But I know I would like maybe to get a little bit closer than that. So then I go up to my fine reading, and that says not just 50 minutes, it's 52, because 2 is really close to this one, right? 229 degrees, 50 plus 2, 229 degrees, 52 minutes, and now I do have to estimate. It's a little more than 40 and a little less than, that's really 60 going this way, 20, 40, 60. Okay, so 52 degrees. There's my 40 mark. Maybe 40 right here would be 50. So it's a little less than 45, which would be right there. I'll call it 43. 229 degrees, 52 minutes, and 43 seconds. Let me write that down here. $229. I think it's percent D. Oh, look at that. 229 degrees. 50 plus 2 minutes. 40 plus 3 seconds. That becomes 229% D degrees, 52 minutes, 43 seconds. There we go. I can make this one smaller if I don't want it to jump out at me quite so big. And I can even give it a little transparency if I don't want it to be quite so in my face. That's how I got that. So that's part of my reading. That's my azimuth angle reading. Now I need to come over here and get my height. And the first thing to notice is I've got my 90 pegged in between there. So I'm off by less than 1 second. When I get in between there, off by about, I can be off by up to 5 seconds. So but that's pretty small, right? And this is my elevation. Remember that sight has to be perfectly level to the world to get this reading right. So this is my vertical adjustment, my vertical angle, and it's at 90 degrees, which means that straight down is 0, straight out would be 90 degrees. Okay, or you can see I'm 89 degrees in 60 minutes. Okay, so there we go, 90 degrees. That's really important that that be on there. Now when I come over and take my reading, I read, here's my big 2 marker. Oh, look at that. I don't know why. Hold on a sec. Let me get this to look a little bit better. There, that looks a little bit better. So this would be 1 inch. This would be 2 inch. Looks like I'm right on 2. This would be 3. Remember, these are in tenths. So 1.0, 1.2, 4, 6, 8, and of course I'm right on 2. So this is 2. Now I don't know how many feet. I'd have to ask the person on the rod, hey, which one is it? And they would move their hand up and down until you're pointing at the right one, and they would say how many feet there are. And so that's really important when you're taking these readings, that you get the feet correct. So I'm going to call this, I don't know how many feet, 2.0 inches. That's my elevation. I have to ask somebody, how many feet. I can't see it in my sight. Okay, now I've got my readings. I've got my azimuth angle, and I have my elevation, my rod reading. I don't have my elevation. I have my rod reading. Okay, and these would go on there. And then, of course, I have to go read my tape measure. I don't have the tape measure on here, but next time we're on together, I'll have a tape measure reading too. Okay, those are the three readings that you take. You take the azimuth angle, take the rod reading, and you take the distance. And the rod reading is going to be correct if your 90-degree mark is in between the 2 0 hashes. And of course, the closer you can get it in between those, the better. Okay, so that's a reading, and I'm going to do another one now. I want to make sure that you guys like pound it and pound it and pound it. Practice, practice, practice. 10,000 times is the rule of thumb. If you practice something 10,000 times, you're likely to have it sort of down pat. Here we go. Let's look at sample 2. So here we go. My degrees, this one doesn't count because it's not bracketing anything. If I come over here, it's 150 degrees. That's my degrees. And 10 minutes. 150 degrees, 10 minutes. And that's maybe pretty close. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy. So I know that this is actually 150. And this is 10 plus something, right? 150, 10 minutes plus 6. This line is best represented by these 6s. 150 degrees, 10 plus 6, 16 minutes. In this case, it's 20. That would be 30, 40. So 20, 30, 25 would be about there. I'll call it 24. 24 seconds. So all of these are made up of multiple little pieces that you have to look at and guess. So that's going to turn into 150 degrees, 16 minutes, 24 seconds. That's this reading right up here. 150 degrees, 10 plus 6, 16, 20 plus an estimate of 4, 24. Let's see what I've got over here. So now, there's my, oh, I got an extra line in here, sorry. I have it on the last one too. So now, what do I have? There's 6 inches and 7 inches. And so this, right in between there, that's the point I want right there. What is that going to be? 6.2 6.246. 6.6, and now I have to estimate. Well, that would be 6.8, 6.6, 6.8, 6.7. Six point two four six to 6.7 inches. And I still don't know the feet. So I'd have to call out to my person on the rod, hey, what are the feet? And they'd run their pencil up and down until I could see it, and they would say what the feet are down below. Okay, so that's within 1/8 of an inch or so I'm reading here. Okay, so this is 6 inches, this is 7, this would be 6.2, 6.4, 6.6, 6.8. It's between 6.6 and 6.8, and it's pretty close to halfway. Not exactly, but halfway between 6.6 and 6.8 is 6.7. Okay, so that's fairly close. I could tell you about how to get even closer, but that's good for what we want to do. 6.7. That's how you would do this one. And this is basically what I'll be asking for you to do on the midterm. I'll give you some readings like this, and you'll be able to do that. Let's look at sample number 3 then. "48 minutes. Sorry, said that wrong. 48 degrees. Notice I don't see anything on either side right now. I would just barely be seeing a 49 and just barely be seeing a 47. So 48 degrees, 30 minutes. 48 degrees, 30 minutes. And then I would get a little bit closer. 30 plus 8. 48 degrees, 38 minutes. I got to add this on. And again, I'm close to 20. Probably the same thing. That would be 30, 25. I'll call it 24. All right, I did that wrong. So that was 48 degrees. 30 plus 8. And 20 plus 4. That turns into 48 degrees, 38 minutes, and 24 seconds. Now we can see over here, oh, I'm right on the 5 again. This one's right on the 5. This little sharp point is exactly where the line should be. right on the 5 at 5.0 inches. And notice very often you're not going to be able to see the foot marker in there. So when that happens, you have to be ready to ask the person on the rod. Okay, so I'll have plenty of these for you to practice with next week so that you can really practice getting these readings. And I'll have plenty of survey records for you to practice drawing next week. I think you're to that point where we've really gone over the skills of how to read things and how to record them, and I think you're ready to start drawing and making the drawings that you need both in AutoCAD and in Revit so that we can start doing some more project style work. And we still have to do some section views, but you've done property lines. Now you're doing some surveys. We'll get topo lines in so that we can do some grading and things like that. Then we're into our project work that puts it all together in starting a little bit in week 8, but that's your midterm. We'll do a little bit of studying and preview. In week 9, you'll start really getting into doing the project, okay, and doing land planning, which includes all of your drawings and things like that. Okay, so that's the skill that I wanted to lecture on. Again, you need to look through there and get your azimuth reading, which is the angle in the horizontal plane, degrees, minutes, more refined minutes, seconds, more refined seconds, and rod reading. And remember, to get the actual elevation, it's the height of your instrument, your line of sight, minus whatever this rod reading is. Okay, that's how we get those. There we go. That's the main thing I wanted to go over. Remember, this is should be very, very simple. Let me do one just right in here. So you might, let me go ahead and do some basic shape. And remember, your basic one is what it's about, rental housing. That's what this should be about. And you can do some stuff to make it look bigger and better and things like that. And maybe even change that color as a level 1. Maybe you want something like that. Each of these are going to be a topic around your primary focus. So pretty straightforward. AFFH. Rent control. rental agreements. Crime-free multi-housing. And I can do stuff, right? I think you probably want to make these a little bit better and maybe make them a little bit wider so that they all kind of fit and you can move them around. So this can be done in anything. Here I'm just doing it in Google Sheets. Not Google Sheets. Okay, Google presentation. And you might want to change these to a secondary color. Now, each of these should have something that you found out, okay, about rental housing. Something that you've found out about rent control and rental housing, AFFH and rental housing, rental agreements and rental housing, crime-free multi-housing and rental housing. Okay, just put one thing that you've figured out or read or found out about. Then when we do our synthesis, you'll tie those into one statement about rental housing that is kind of supporting or supported by all of these. Now, your one statement might need a little bit of explanation to get some of these in here, but I'm hoping not too much. And then, of course, put all of your links that you've put, all of the sources that you read and the links. This is a really, really powerful way to be able to prepare a presentation for whoever's in charge, planning group or whatever. One of the things I was just reading is in San Francisco. There's a bar. It's called the High Dive, and it's on the pier right next to the ballpark. And in about 2004 maybe, it changed hands. The old lease was up, and the new lease came in. And the person who wanted the new lease, it's very nice because the lease arrangements are based on percent of sales because it's a public property and they want it to be a cool thing. And so the person basically had to make a pitch to all 9 Port Authority commissioners, and you can bet it was pretty tough competition because you can imagine being right next to the new ballpark on the pier where people are trying to develop, and you get to make the spiel. So these things can be important. They're not simple. Now, granted, most of the time we like to go in for a real simple, easy proposal. But we're trying to give you tools that you can make more complex ones or make ones that are pretty easy and straightforward, but maybe need what's called a variance. I think you've seen some about that. If it doesn't meet exactly what you're talking about, you might have a variance. Okay, so those are all of interest and good things to do and look at. So I'll be looking forward to seeing what you come up with on here. So a pretty light one. This one's not too bad. This one was from the sim, and we went over that on Tuesday, and we just went over this one yesterday in the lab. And so today, again, we were looked at just getting closer to being able to do some of these readings. So there we go. You got a short, easy lecture for today. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now and log this one off, and I'll get this posted shortly.